Hey, what's up everyone, Ragey Golden Eagle here, having way too much fun as always. And that's gonna hold especially true today, because this video is very much a point and laugh and say I told you so type of video. Cause oh man, when I saw Turfling Monkey get into this article on one of his streams, I just could not stop laughing. More companies dropping college degree requirement for new hires. Yup, looks like the people with brains are finally starting to take over again. Looks like someone finally realized that college isn't actually pumping out good, competent people. They're pumping out useless parasite activists for the most part. Even STEM is under attack and they're trying to add arts to it. But either way, have I not been saying that something like this was gonna happen for a long ass time? But before I continue gloating, let's get into the article a little bit here, shall we? More and more companies are scrapping college degree requirements for jobs. Now, they're not saying you shouldn't seek higher education, but not having a degree won't be a barrier for you to work in certain jobs at their companies. And funny enough, there goes the reason most intelligent people go to college. With the exception of those rich enough to be able to afford to just study things they're interested in, pretty much every smart person with a plan goes to college just to get a job. Yeah, that $40,000 degree may not demonstrate you actually know anything, but it serves its purpose as a ticket to get your foot in the door of the industry you're trying to work in. But now it's not going to be a requirement anymore, which means this is an awesome turn from how things used to be. I shit you not, one of my previous employers actually fired their IT director because their new policy stated that you have to have a degree to work there. And despite the fact that he was the best IT director they ever had, he didn't have a degree, so he had to go. And unsurprisingly, the degree holder they replaced him with was completely useless. But now they're finally starting to focus on what's important again. Your degree doesn't matter. Do you have a portfolio of past work? Can you show us you know how to do what we're going to expect you to do, and can you demonstrate to us that you can quickly learn and adapt? That's what's important. Now let's take a look at some of these companies. Some of the 15 big companies saying no bachelor's degree is fine include Google, Nordstrom, Bank of America, Ernst & Young, IBM, and Apple. Oh yeah, even the tech giants. This right here is a huge paradigm shift that may completely destroy the higher indoctrination racket we have going on in the West. And to understand the full impact of what's going on here, you just have to go back into the past by a few decades. Back in the day, your employer would hire you and then sometimes spend months training you. And the whole appeal of college was your employer isn't going to have that burden anymore. That was the whole purpose of college and things like accreditations. If you came out of an accredited college with a specific degree, your employer could trust that you understood all the basics and wouldn't need extensive training. So they were more than happy to hire these college graduates to save themselves money and time. And while college was a meritocracy and before it became a charity, that was the case. Now though, when everyone and their mom has a college degree, and on top of that, they still don't know shit and have to be trained almost as if they didn't go to college in the first place, these employers are starting to realize maybe this wasn't such a good idea after all. Maybe we'd be better off just hiring someone who hasn't gone to college yet and is a blank slate that we can train exactly how we want them. And now moving back to the article again. This line right here I find pretty interesting given the whole H-1B visa situation that everyone seems to be complaining about. There are worker shortages in industries all across the economy and companies are saying, well, you know, maybe we don't need college graduates for this job or that job. Yeah, that's something you guys should have considered in the first place. If you didn't need college graduates for certain jobs, why were you spending extra money to get college graduates for those jobs? Hell, now that I think about it, the information age has pretty much destroyed colleges. Not just in the way we all know, like the fact that Google exists and you can pretty much look up almost anything on it. You could do things like self-study. No, I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to the fact that if you have any sort of tech job, you can generally keep a pretty good portfolio of your work to show off to prospective employers. It's not just tech jobs either, like things like artists as well. If I, for instance, was looking to hire an artist, whether or not they have some art school degree is completely irrelevant to me. As a prospective employer, this is how I'd go about hiring an artist. I'd go through various sites where artists post their work and find one whose work I really like that I think is already pretty much in line and perfect for the project I have in mind. And I'd just hit them up and start talking and maybe make them an offer. Or I'd use my YouTube channel to put the call out. It's like, hey artists, I plan on doing this project. If you're interested in participating, send me some samples of your work. And then the one I like the best, I'd hit up and say, hey, can you do these commissions for me? Notice how not once does their education ever come into play. I couldn't care less about that. The only thing I care about is the quality of their work. And it's the same thing with coders, too. I wouldn't care if you have a 4-year degree or a 6-year degree or a fucking doctorate. That's irrelevant. I'd request code samples, ask some basic questions, give a few simple test projects to the guy or girl, and if I'm satisfied with how they handle it, then hey, here comes the job offer. Again, the degree never even comes up. It's irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. And this kind of ties in with the next line here. IBM says it's now looking at candidates with experience in non-traditional education, such as coding boot camps or industry-related vocational classes. Now, while that's a step in the right direction, I believe IBM may be stopped from going as far as they like because they're a huge freaking corporation. Why does any of this non-traditional education even matter? What does it matter if a coder went to a boot camp? Just look at samples of their work, give them some tests, and that's all you really need. Hell, that's one of the few things I believe the game industry is actually doing right in current year. If you really want to get into the game industry, one of the best ways to do it is to be a very prolific modder. And even if they don't specifically seek you out to give you a job offer, should you choose to apply, you'd definitely be way better off than people with just game design degrees and no actual experience. But yeah, overall things are moving in the right direction here. Maybe this whole bloated higher indoctrination racket will finally be taken down a few notches and get down to the size it should have been all this time. But the last 2 lines of this article kind of want to soften the blow a little bit, but in the end just end up being hilarious. Those with a college degree shouldn't be alarmed though. Ernst & Young says academic qualifications will remain an important consideration when assessing candidates as a whole. Well yeah, honestly, why would college degree holders be alarmed? It's not like they're being specifically excluded from jobs, unless they got a worthless degree from a worthless college anyway, like Evergreen. Maybe they're gonna have more competition, but hey, they're college educated, right? They should have no problems. After all, they're so much better than the plebs without college degrees, right? Should be no big deal. But this line right here especially actually made me laugh out loud the first time I read it. The research shows unequivocally that people with college degrees fare much better in life. And I laughed at this because they could not see the cause and effect and the irony here. Of course, having a college degree would make you fare better in life if companies are requiring them for positions that shouldn't really require a degree. But now that they're finally starting to wise up, this may not be the case for much longer. So let that serve as a warning to all you guys out there. That final statement may not hold true for long. So whether or not you have a college degree, just focus on building up your portfolio to show prospective employers. If you're good, your skills will speak for themselves. That's all I gotta say, guys. Thanks for listening.